I can't.
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
All right. All right, look, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna start this morning off right. Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivation. Here on America's Next Motivator, I have Ladosha Wright here with me today. How you doing, Ladosha?
Super fantastic African magic.
Wow, 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 wow. African magic. I love your accessories. I like that necklace you have on. What's that?
That's an ankh. That's an ankh. Ankh is one of the
Can you teach us what that is?
yeah. So the ankh is an Egyptian symbol from the Motivator, and it simply means life.
Okay. Nice. 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 Um, I see you have a lot of history back there on your wall. Are you into history much?
Oh yes, I'm really into history, especially African history. But any history, I'm so nosy. I'll read Chinese history. It doesn't matter to me. I'm just going to read about history.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Now can you tell me where you're from? Where you from these days?
I am from these days right here in the best location in the nation, and that's Cleveland, Ohio.
That's right. Cleveland, Ohio, the best location on the nation.
The best
And
location.
some people like to talk down and say it's you know what they say, but we're not going there today though.
Mm-mm, mm-mm.
Uh-uh.
This ain't the mistake
Uh-uh.
on the lake. This the great on the lake.
Nah. Exactly. Exactly. So can you tell us what it was like for you growing up in Cleveland?
Well, what it was like growing up for me in Cleveland, it was challenging, but I have to say it was full of love. In spite of the ups and downs, I have definitely come to the conclusion that the love that I received throughout my life has outweighed any turbulent times, any bad moments, or whatever you want to call them. The love conquers all.
What neighborhood did you grow up in out there?
Well, I grew up in several neighborhoods. So I would say my
Okay.
initial neighborhood was down in the projects. I was brought up, in King Kennedy. I lived in the yellow. So anybody out here that's, a true Clevelander knows about the King Kennedy project. So I grew up there. And then we moved over to 79th and Woodland. And then we went up on Larchmere, then across 131st. So I think I lived everywhere except the west side.
Okay, okay. And what was fashion like for y'all back in those days? What were y'all wearing?
We were wearing like for sure, bell bottoms and butterfly collars. And passion for us back then was music. I mean, music was all of that. The OJs, the DeBarge, Cameo, the Gap Band, Hiroshima. I mean, just music was everything. Earth, Wind, and Fire. So music was really it, and of course, any and everything Black Panther. I think my mother was a bootleg, radical. But yeah, she was really into that. My uncles, so they was really into Black Power.
Right. Let me ask you something. Are bell bottoms making a comeback?
I don't think bell bottoms ever left, depending on where you live in Cleveland. Because
Wow.
when you from the hood, you just make your own fashion. We were definitely brought up, march to the beat of your own drum. So fashion, comes and goes. But in the hood, we definitely was of the understanding that we were the trendsetters. So when LL said trendsetter, I'm better, everybody in the hood was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So hip hop, what else? The beginnings of R&B, not the beginnings of R&B, but
The
R&B
continue
as a movement.
the evolution of R&B. Yeah. So
Yeah,
food, of course, food was good, and family. The pandemic had required everybody to stay with their families, and you couldn't go outside. You couldn't go into other people's houses. You can't eat the food. So I mean, if you're from the hood, we were like, that ain't no problem. That's how we grew up.
right.
So it
Exactly.
didn't, I didn't have a problem when the pandemic said, wash your hands, put a cup of bleach in the water. We had been doing that. We was like, y'all party for the party.
Yeah. Hey, you got the right personality for whatever you have decided to do in your life, and I'm really loving your energy this morning, without a doubt.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Now, do you have brothers and sisters?
Oh, yes, I do. I have a large family. So I have two brothers and one sister, and then I have two half brothers. So yeah, I have a nice sized family.
Wow. And what did your mother and father do when you were younger?
Well, my mom, she was a blue collar worker. My dad, he was a factory worker for a minute. My dad was definitely, he was a street guy, if you know what I mean, So yeah, blue collar workers, and they were just, a very artistic, creative people, and just full, no nonsense, but definitely laughter.
And what did you do creatively at that time when you were young?
Cry. I was such a big crybaby. I don't think I was really as a kid. I don't think I was very creative. I was most certainly very studious. So I was the teacher's pet. I was always reading a book and polishing my fingernails. So I was kind of what's that word I want to use? I was voluptuous as a kid. So I really wasn't allowed to be around a lot of boys and stuff because I had a little figure. So I pretty much stayed to myself. But I did have one best friend, my homegirl Chrissy, but two, Chrissy and Helen. So those were my two best friends, and we were like thicker than thieves. So I just stayed around them, and when kids picked on me, I was pretty much a crybaby, a lot. Okay. I mean, I cried all the time.
You know what? We got a few other people trying to get in the building. I'm going to go to a brief break to give those folks time to join in, and we'll be right back after a brief message this morning. All right, and we're back. Okay, so now, what middle school did you go to?
I went to Wilbur Wright Junior High School. That's where I went to school at.
Nice. The reason I ask is because Cleveland has some legendary schools, middle school and high school. People, when people want to figure out where you're from, they say, "What middle school did you go to?" Okay, what high school did you go to? So they can figure out who you were associated with back in the day. All right, now what high school did you go to?
High school. Now I'm kind of like King T. I went to high school, but I went to every class. So initially, I started off at South High School, but I have to admit, I did drop out. So I had to complete my education over at Glenville High School, their summer school program. So I did get my diploma from South High School, but I did not, walk the stage with my classmates. So I had to double back, a year later, if you know what I mean.
Now, you having to finish high school the way that you did that motivate you to work twice as hard?
Well, I was a late bloomer. I was not one of those people that just went along the traditional track. So, so I would have to say no to that because what had happened was, so I was a teen mom. So as a teen mom, I had became extremely disgruntled. And so that just kind of stagnated my progress. So it wasn't until my dad just kind of let me know that, hey, you're not cut from the fabric of a bunch of losers. So when you decide that, that's not what you're going to be, holler at your pops. And in the meantime, deuces. So it took me a minute to get along the path. So I definitely was a late bloomer. I didn't just go from high school to college. And no, I was late. I was party for the party.
Mm-hmm. And when you say your father told you, listen, we're not cut from that cloth, what did that conversation mean to you? And can you explain to us what the cloth is?
Yeah, so so at the time, it just meant that my father was old and played out. He wasn't hip. But as I've come to, grow up, I realized that I come from a family, I come from a legacy, I come from ancestors of greatness. And so I've now come to accept that. But when he made that statement, like I said, I was like, he just mad because he's getting old,
Yeah. Yep. Sometimes our elders, our parents, our relatives are trying to tell us things, and it's because they've been there and done that. But we don't really realize the profound nature of what they're trying to tell us until we get older. And as they say, sometimes you got to get older and see for yourself. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's imperative. You most definitely have to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
So now, top 3 things that you learned as a young woman that you would like to pay it forward to other young women out there today who might also be, having a tough time trying to get on their feet.
The first thing I would say is number one, don't isolate yourself. I think a lot of times when we're going, we're growing and we're going through things, we kind of feel like, we got to go at it alone. We can't, reach out for help. So please don't isolate yourself. When you're going through something or you're growing through something, don't put yourself in the back and lock yourself in the room and say, I don't need anybody. Yes, you do. Okay. So that's number one. Number two, don't forget about family. I mean, people are like, me and my sisters don't get along, and my brother be tripping, and everybody got one cousin, somebody. So please utilize your family, because those are the people who are going to tell you, you know what, that don't look right. Your family's going to tell you you can do better. So, and if you don't have a family, of course you can create one. So whatever your definition of family is, be sure to include family. And then, of course, that spirituality, that religious, that positive self-talk. I know what they're saying, fake it till you make it. I don't believe in that. I don't care. Say it anyway. Get up in the morning and say, what Jesse Jackson said, I am somebody.
Right. That's right. Absolutely. And so those are the things that pretty much helped you to get on your feet and become grounded as a woman. Now, at what point did you leave Ohio and start exploring other places?
That took place. Okay, I have to admit. So I was a hip hop head, So I had a little brief stint as a backup dancer in a hip hop group. And
Okay.
so I actually got a chance. Now I didn't go far, but from Akron to just little small towns, I started to get out and was like, oh, it's something outside of 131st.
Exactly.
So I started to, kind of a little open up, to see that there were other things that I could do. And so I would say that really was the beginning, that I needed to come out, and that, not to isolate myself, to my little tribe, my little hood. You know what I'm saying?
Tell us that story. Who was the rap crew? Who was the crew? Who was the crew?
Okay, so the crew was my BFF, the former Cleveland's first hip hop artist, Kevin MC Chill Hurd. So he was, that's how I got introduced to it. And so the name of the hip hop group was Bango and the B-Boy Outlaws.
Okay. Okay. Hey, listen, we got some visitors in the building. Yolanda Riley said good morning a little while back, but then Calvin Pope came in. He said good morning. He said, I love you, Ladosha.
I love you too. Calvin and I went to elementary school together, so he knows.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Corinne Riley says, preach, when you talking about the history and the culture, the haircuts. What were these people haircuts looking like back in the day?
Well, I really wasn't into hair like that. But we know for a fact, Salt and Pepper definitely came on the scene, with their asymmetric bobs, which they said were accidental hairstyles, and, the whole JJ fad. Who can forget Jerry curls? So Jerry curls were popular. I had a pressing curl for the longest. So I was kind of like shining down on the hairstyling scene because I didn't have all the cool stuff. So I think relaxers and Jerry curls, I think those were, pretty popular. Weaves, I don't think people wore weaves or wigs back then. I don't think so.
You know what? Now I got to ask you a few questions. Number one, is the Jerry curl making a comeback?
I do Jerry curls every week. So I'm not stopping. Oh, yes. That's my favorite service to do. So I'm really, 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 really into Jerry curls.
Wow. So you mean to tell me it never left?
They never left. And it depends on what type of hairstylist you are and who your clientele base is. So I have people who They deliver mail. They work, in the kitchen. They have children. They're hot flashing. So this little stuff right here, it's not going to work for those types of people. So
Right.
Carefree Curls, Wave Nouveau, those really, they work there. I call that real hair on real people in real life.
Okay, got it, got it. All right, got another one for you. Is the finger wave hairstyle making a comeback? Let us know.
The finger waves never left. I can tell you.
Oh,
Oh yeah, finger waves because they just what they call that word. They repurpose them. So now you see them on the sides of short crops. The short cropped hairstyles. So finger waves have never ever. They never will. Like I said, like in the beginning of the show, you were asking the question about how we were back in the day, and I said LL said trendsetter. I'm better. So
yeah.
depending on how you are, where you live, your culture. So we just, believe that, we can do anything, everything old is new again. So finger waves will probably never leave.
Okay. Now, for those people who don't know, we're talking to Ladosha Wright, and she is a cosmetologist. She does hair, and she is very interested in all things hair, and her horizons are broader than that. But the reason why we're talking about hair is because that's part of what she does. That's why we're having this conversation. And I'm loving it. Because my next question is, you said that we weren't doing hair weave back in the day. So where did hair weave kind of come from, and when did we start adopting it into our culture?
Well, history has it that Christina Jenkins, she's actually from Cleveland, Ohio. She invented hair weaves, for back I think she was like a hairstylist on a movie set where she did the hair of a famous actress. And so that became the introduction of hair weaves. And then, of course, the actress, wore the weave and people started asking. And so from there, it just kind of took off and she shared her inventions with other hairstylists. It's actually patented. So she holds the patent here in the United States of America. So that is the history of how the weaves got started here in Cleveland. But my research also reveals that, during ancient times, that the Egyptians were most certainly scalping and doing hair weaves. So she was really just tapping into the energy that was already in her. So weaves are not new. It's not trying to be white. It's just something that the ancients did. And so we're doing it today.
You know what? I'm glad that you provided two things. The first is that the actual patent and a part of the beginning of the trend of hair we've started in Cleveland. So yet another victory for Cleveland, Ohio in the house, right? But you also put a deep historic context on it when you say that they were doing it in Egypt, as they were wearing makeup in Egypt as well. They were also wearing the waved hairstyle as well. And so when you talk about how our hairstyles of today are really a remanifestation of ancient culture, do you see that as what we do today? All our different hairstyles, is it just a re-emergence of what we used to do?
I'm so glad you're saying that because I'm often asked all the time about hair weaves. So weaves can be shamed and weaves can be shameless. So depending on where your thought processes are, but for the most part, there is a large group of people who really shame weaves and think that weaves are very bad. They think that chemical processing is bad. They think that altering the hair with color and chemicals are bad. But what they don't tell you at the hair salon, which is the name of my book, we have been doing this before Christ. But remember, we did not have access to our ancient African history. So, of course, when we get their narrative, it doesn't come across as a really good thing to do. But anybody who wants to wear a hair addition, regardless of your ethnicity, where you come from, your racial background or makeup, you most certainly can wear, a hair weave. So the history of altering hair, from braiding to chemicals to colors to additions, this is the history of beautification from Africa.
Wow. So you know what? I gotta say this. a lot of us, especially us men, we need to go ahead and take a step back and listen. Need to take a step back and listen. Why? Because what Ladosha Wright is teaching us today, that's right, she's teaching us. Did you know that hair weave, as it's being done, as popular as it is, started in Cleveland that way? Did you know that? She's talking about culture, African culture. It's not just some trend that's come along and is poisoning our neighborhoods.
No.
They're practicing ancient culture, and what needs to go along with that ancient culture is the knowledge, is the education. And this is the importance of America's Next Motivator. This is the importance of sitting at the feet of people who have been there and done that. And so I appreciate the education that you're providing for us today. Now, are we doing it the right way? Is there a wrong way to do weave? Is there a wrong way to do hair?
Yeah. There most certainly is a wrong way, and anybody who knows me know that I spent, I would say, half of my career being a policy advocate for the beauty and barber industry, that we remain educated, because there is a very big push with the Department of Justice and a lot of natural, hairstylists who do not want people who do natural hairstyles, and adding hair to braids falls in that category. Not just sewing on weaves, but just braiding and added hair. Well, they don't want to have the education, because their argument is that because white America in its cosmetology education and curriculum did not teach hair braiding, and we brought that from Africa, we don't need education. And that could be the furthest thing from the truth. Now, I've only visited West Africa once, so I can't speak for the various parts and various countries in Africa, but I do know for a fact that in all the countries in Africa that has cosmetology as a profession, braiding is part of the curriculum. So the fight here in America to eliminate it on behalf, or the argument is that we're African and this is our natural born talent or our culture, is probably the most incorrect fallacy when it comes to hair braiding and adding hair. Education is key to adding hair in any facet, be it braids, sewing it in, gluing it in, creating a wig. You need to be educated. And in Africa and those countries where they have licensed cosmetology or the education, braiding is a part of the curriculum. So if anything, we need to encourage and promote that the education be added, not eliminated, because we want to own it as Africans. That's very un-African. When you go to Africa, when I visited West Africa, they don't see braiding as something that belongs to Black people. It belongs to Africa. In West Africa, they feel that braiding and all this myriad, and there are so many different ways to braid hair, it belongs to all of us. We all are God's people. So no matter what your background is, if you want to learn how to braid hair and add to it or whatever, embellish it, you can do that with proper education. Even those Africans who live what we call remote or in regions or huts or things of that nature, they have to be educated as well. And I know it to be true because I wrote the cosmetology curriculum with the people from the Gambia. So it's not made up.
Hold on. You said that first of all, you went to Africa. You went to Africa to learn, and you ended up also contributing education while you were there.
Yes.
So
And so I think that the braiders here in America they don't have their African history. They have their experience with racism. They have their experience with hair shaming. They have their anger. They have their animosity. The school's not actually teaching this, so they want to own it. And so that is a whole nother argument. You know what I'm saying? But if you want to argue, the Department of Justice is saying that the education is an impediment to employment. And that's because they already have their education and they don't want to pay these braiders their worth. And you also see these braiders traveling the world teaching, what? Braiding. So even in their own community, they are still promoting teach education, but it needs to be included in the scope of cosmetology because it gives the career more credibility. You know, you wouldn't see a heart surgeon saying, well, the heart ain't got nothing to do with a breast job. So a boob job, you know, we want our own. No, 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 no. If you're going to do breast implants, if you're going to do heart surgery, whatever, the whole entire medical community comes together and they include all of these plastic surgeries. Cosmetic is just as important as what? Heart surgery, you know, eye surgery. So they don't exclude it. And we need to, borrow from the medical community to raise our standards of education in cosmetology and barber.
Right. Well, hair care used to be part of the medical processes, and we know that. But I think that you're talking about something that's absolutely huge today when you speak about how, first of all, hair braiding is a wave. It's a movement. It's something that is not just African anymore. It's something that people are doing clear across humanity. Everybody is figuring out a way to braid the hair in order to, like you said, add on and to make it into a different type of a style. But hair braiding and all the things that go with it are not getting their proper respect in terms of you learning what it takes to do it properly, where it came from, and really placing value on the art itself. And so
Yeah.
that's what needs to happen, you know?
Yeah, we like to claim our African heritage, but when it comes to doing the work, then we want to just say we just want to wear the onks as Chill calls it. We want to put on our African centric starter kits. You know, we want to wear the red, the black, and green. We want to represent the motherland, but we don't want to do the work. And Africans are staunch on education. Well, West Africa. So, like I said, I can't speak to the entire continent, but I know that in various countries in Africa, they do have cosmetology schools. You are not allowed to, don't even think about going to the government saying, I'm from America. I don't have to have license. Get out of here with that. You're going to be educated.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Ladosha Wright, I want you to contact a beautician, contact a cosmetologist, or even a barber and let them know that we're talking to someone who has the knowledge that we need this morning. We'll be right back after a brief message. America's Next Motivator, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern, Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, and sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network. And we're back with Ladosha Wright. How you feeling out there?
Super fantastic African magic.
Yeah, I love it. I love it when you say that. I love it when you say that. So,
it makes everybody laugh. If you say it, not one, everybody will laugh, and they can put their own twist. Super fantastic Cedric magic.
Right. That's right. But before we went to a break, you were speaking on something powerful. You said, people like to throw their aunts on and they like to talk about red, black, and green and all that, but they don't actually go back to the motherland. And that's what you did.
Yeah, I mean, some of us you can't but you can do it, in spirit. I mean, to one thing I learned when upon arrival, it was confirmation that excellence is key. It is the natural way of our humanity. That's number one. Number two, you got to live excellence. And so, even if you don't get a chance to go there, it's not just enough to really say we have to do or replicate, parts of the African culture. And in that culture, and remember, Africa is a continent. So people kind of look at it like it's a country or a city. No, in different parts, it means different things to different people when it comes to excellence when I say it. So education for sure, I'm really not making this up, is really, really key. So to me, it's very un-African when you start talking about lowering standards. That's probably the most un-African thing to do, no matter what part or what country, on that continent you're going to pick. Excellence, education, they really, really believe in that. I don't care if you're cooking, whatever it is. So I don't think it's a good thing for anybody to be, touting peace and black power, but then saying, we got to hustle our way, through something as important as braiding hair because it's spiritual. They're very, layered. People, the cultures, the tribes are very layered. They're not straightforward. So to us, braiding might just be a hairstyle, my creativity. I'm black. You know what I'm saying? It's a little bit deeper than that. You know what I'm saying?
And hair care is a spiritual practice.
Yes, yes. I mean, in the history and the evolution of us as humans, we know for sure that the Medu Neter, aka the hieroglyphs, when they were the scribes were, putting this stuff on these steles, right? And then now that they're being translated, we know that our ancient ancestors saw the whole beautification process as divinity. So because they felt like we were connected with the source. So that whole divination, that divinity process, it requires that you learn certain things so that you can exalt yourself to be the most high and get the most out of your 3D or your human or your in the now experience. So beauty isn't really something that's in America, you just cute. You know what I'm saying? It's very superficial, but it's really a lot deeper. And when you think about people who want to be beautiful, we still say it today, beauty is what? Skin deep. That's pretty much already written from our ancient ancestors. And though we're using a different terminology, the meaning, the esoteric value, it remains, it continues, it hasn't went away.
But what I also, and we have a comment from Star Seaham in the building. She says, when a plane touched the continent, I felt an instant connection. Something happened. So she's been to Africa as well.
She's right. She's absolutely right. I can't speak for everybody, who's traveled there, but as an African American, when that plane was coming and I got off the plane, you can feel something, and the way that they welcome you home, it's something like no words could ever capture the dance, the celebration, gifts. I'm still getting gifts.
Wow.
It was just amazing.
You know what? Sometimes life is just too thick for words, and I'm getting a lot of value out of the conversation that you're providing today. My mind is having an implosion because of the ramifications of what you're talking about. When we look at what we do as a service to one another, when we do each other's hair, not only is it a spiritual thing, but it's something that is connected to divinity. And when you said that just made my mind go to a whole nother place, because we have to, when we make ourselves look good, that's a part of our godhood or our godship, and it's something that we're supposed to be doing. It's not all about vanity, or he or she thinks that they're all of that, or that they're so materialistic. You have to become a reflection of that which is on the inside, and if there's a divine presence on the inside, then we should be able to see that when we look at you. So be encouraged to take care of your hair. Be encouraged, to accentuate your face if you want to with some makeup. Be encouraged to take care of your body. Those are parts of your divinity. And I thought that was huge.
Yes, it's very true. But again, we don't necessarily know that history. So
Yeah.
if we don't know that history, we will think, you know what? This is all superficial. I got me a jacket, from Africa. Do you know the love that went into, creating this? Do you know the love that went into actually creating this fabric? I mean, everything is it, and it seems like, oh, you're just, trying to, what's that word, romanticize. I don't even know why people even say, you try to romanticize Africa or Ghana or Gambia or whatever. You haven't been there. I mean, if you haven't been in love, then of course you're gonna say, she thinks she's some because she just met a guy. Do you know what it feels like for someone to admire you, to wake up and want to see you? Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever experienced a child that's so happy, or a dog that just can't wait for you to come through the door? Do you know what that feels like? So to your point, it really is deeper than what we see. It's what goes behind the scene. And that's what we're really, promoting when it comes to beauty. When we're at this salon, we don't really teach hair from the superficial aspect. I do what we live the bibliography. That the bibliography in all books about hair teaches that hair is an appendage of your skin. It is not this fiber that you just, color. No, it's skin, and it responds to the climate. And when you're styling it, your job is to create a style or wear a style that as you live in different climates, your hairstyle moves with it. So if you're going to make love, if you're going to go swimming, if you're going to exercise, if you're going to sit and do an interview, if you're going to walk the red carpet, if you're going to shoot basketball, whatever you're going to do, how would that hairstyle move with that climate and then also represent you as an individual? That's the African way, the West African way, I should say, when it comes to styling hair. That's their science. And the science in America, it does say the same thing. It may not say it so eloquently, but that's what it's saying. And that's not being romantic. Those are just adjectives that we're using to describe the process. So we're not romanticizing that Africans don't, have bad hair days and everything is perfect. No, we're not saying that.
And you know what? This woman is full of education. The same way that she's educating us now, she does the same thing on YouTube. And you guys can look her up on YouTube. She has over 200 videos on YouTube. And I'm actually going to play a clip of one of those videos. Just give me 1 second here. You guys, she's on YouTube all over. You guys can go out there and you can learn about what you guys are involved in when you start looking at hair care.
Squeaky clean. One of the biggest challenges that people have with using the Rev Air is that the hair is not cleansed properly. So it's really important that you section your hair, like I have my guest here, and you're going to shampoo each section, rinse, and then apply. So I have other videos in my YouTube channel that you can watch about how to shampoo Afro hair. That's the first hair hack. Make sure the hair is clean. Number two, when you're using the Tribology line, they have instructions on here that tells you which type of hair the product is for. Afro hair is not necessarily type 3 or 4. So this product, which is the Play It Straight, is going to be too heavy for Afro hair because, believe it or not, Afro hair is very fine. So that's the second hair hack. Don't use the thicker stuff. Remember, we've been conditioned that we have bad hair, okay?
I got to stop it right there for some more education. What is type 3 and 4 hair?
So here's the thing, and actually coming up on Sunday, October the 25th at 3 o'clock p.m., there will be about a panelist of 7 experts, and we'll be on Chill Talk to discuss. It's called Textured Tales, okay? And so here's the thing. Hair mapping or hair typing. It was originally created by Mr. Andre Walker. We may know him from as Oprah's former hairstylist. So he created his very own line of hair care products. So to help people navigate, through their shopping experience within his product line, he created what's called hair typing or hair mapping. And that was strictly to help you know which product to buy. Well, America, So they jacked they jacked this man for his excellent marketing plan. And so now it has become this thing where you're going to categorize hair in numbers, 1 being the straightest, and then 4 having the texture. And then you have these letters that's going to give you the degree of texture within these 4 categories of straight, curly, wavy, coily / kinky, or nappy. So that's the lowest scale, the Thea or the hair mapping system. The problem with those systems is that number 1, it definitely has remnants of the brown paper bag test. That's number 1. Not aside from Andre. Remember, Andre originally did this to help you shop. So not Andre Walker, okay? So now you have these group of naturalistas, this natural hair movement that has no education and the history and the science or the anatomy or the physiology of hair. So the hair mapping system has got to be the most anatomically, the most culturally, incorrect thing I've ever seen when it comes to hair care, because I liken it to grass. So there are about 12,000 species of grass that covers the 20% of the planet, right? Now remember, some of those species of grasses are what? They're dying off. Okay, so that number is, of course, it's fluctuating, especially with climate change. Can you imagine them trying to classify grass into 4 categories with sub letters of A, B, C, and D? Listen here, guys, the taxonomists, get up out of here. They ain't having it. You want to know why? It's too diverse. And you know who else are like that? Humans. Hair textures are as unique as the person on the head which it lies. You'll never be able to classify human hair. Never. But what you can do is that there's a general rule that's just like with grass. There's a general rule of caring for all grass, no matter where it's at. And remember, there are over 12,000 species of grass, from rice to bamboo to, the kind you see on the football field. There's too much grass, okay? So there's a general purpose or methodology to care for the grass, and the same rule applies for hair. The right products, the right tools, and the right techniques. That's all we can ever say about hair. But classifying it is not a good thing. It's just not.
Okay. So even when you hear the term 4C,
yeah, right. All of that is designed to help you spend more money, and because now it's about branding. I mean, social media is great. I definitely take advantage of it, but some people are really using it to promote their own agenda. So there's some propaganda. I'm not knocking it. You got to do that. You got to sell these products. You're going to say 4C. I'm not, because I'm coming from a different, mindset. But as a cosmetologist, I see licensed professionals using the language, and typically it's coming from people who are not from the discipline of trichology, of dermatology, of cosmetology. And so sometimes we do borrow, like fashion, like hip hop. Now it's dope to wear a Dookie gold chain. So we do borrow, but you have to put that in its proper context. Not to say that the hair mapping isn't being successfully used in other, spectrums or scopes of practices. But I tell you what, I doubt it'll last. And the consumers are already complaining about the hair mapping system. They don't like it. You're starting to see the natural hair movement is starting to fade to the back.
You know,
Because movements are just that. You can't do movements when it comes to beauty. Why? Because we're aging. We're aging. So your hair changes as you age. The hair mapping system is not going to take that into account. When you sweat, that 4C is now what? 4B? When you braid it up and you take it back down, your 3A is now what? And so it's not a good thing. It's just not.
And so for me, what I'm hearing you say is that this boils down to respect. It's about respect for the art, which is that 1,000 people is 1,000 different heads of hair. You just can't break it down into 4 or 5 categories and say,
No.
oh, I know what all of you need and I know where all of your hair is going because I got these 4 categories. You have to be a technician in the sense of understanding that every head of hair is different. And
because the consumer, I'm sorry for cutting you off. The consumer will tell you in the chair. I mean, they will come in and say, I think my hair was like a 4C, but you see what I'm saying? They're letting you know I'm trying to fit in, and that's that brown paper bag. I'm trying to fit into the definition of Afro blackness, and it's confusing, especially if your mom is white, you're adopted, you have same-sex parenting. That's what is very, very, very overwhelming. And now you're trying to, be politically correct. And then you got this Black Lives Matter movement going on. And let's not forget your cultural appropriation. So they're scaring the ham sandwich out of people, with this. Every time, I think Adele wore Bantu knots and she had on a swimming suit that was the Jamaican flag, and people were like, she's stealing Black culture. Listen, people, that's the American way. Again, when you travel to different parts of the world, they don't necessarily share your sentiments. And there's a lot of anger here in America because we've been denied and we don't know. So that's why we're getting that visceral response. And we're trying to categorize hair textures and make it this whole Black thing. It can't be that way because everybody who's dark don't have what? Afro hair.
Right. That's right. Wow. And what's the name of your salon? You started a salon, right? You have a salon, I believe.
Can you repeat that?
I said you have a salon, correct, in Cleveland, Ohio?
Yes, the name of the salon is the Reverence Design Team Hair Salon, and we're located in Cleveland Heights on South Taylor Road.
Okay, Reverence is does it have an A in it or an
it's E? Like you revere someone, REVERENCE, reverence.
Okay.
And reverence means to hold in the highest regard.
Mm-hmm. And so, I think that we need to increase our level of respect for someone like you who sees the gap in education and is standing in that gap, providing right knowledge. Because just like you're saying, we're getting further away from the truth when it comes to the hair care industry. And that's because we're not including perspective like yours or perspective from the international space in our education going forward. And that's the problem, but that's also what you're providing. And Are you providing that education here in America as well?
Oh, yes, most certainly. I mean, America is coming from a racist standpoint, but hair textures and hair types, that's what my book, that what they don't tell you at the hair salon, that's exactly what I'm teaching, is that race has nothing to do with hair. And so that's what the biggest problem is. We're trying to make Afro hair a Black thing. You cannot do it. People with skin lighter than me have more Afro, more frizzier hair. And then there are people who are darker, dark as this shirt, and their hair is poker bone straight. So that's what the biggest problem is. But in education, because education is a process, I'm going to have to steal this phrase from Asar Imhotep. You can't micromanage microwave education. You know, you have to go through the rigors of reading a book, sitting in a class, listen to a teacher. You can't YouTube. I'm on YouTube. I'm doing everything. But as much as I can to be on these platforms, because we can't get them to respect us. What we have to do is be out here. If they're on YouTube, they're on Roku, they're right here on America's Next Motivator, then I need to come from behind that chair and meet the people where they are. We can't make them respect us. So once you give me this platform, which I'm so thankful and very, very, very appreciative of you allowing me to do this, now I can let them know that I'm not the only one. There are a plethora, Donella Scalp Therapy, Aziza, Yasmin, Janae, Jasmine Frisco, Herbert Pittman, Chris Blue, Keith Michael Davis, Rachel Morolla, Philip Pelusi, Ted Gibson, Greg Gilmore. There are a plethora of hairstylists who share the sentiments, but they're doing it in their own unique way. And we know for a fact that race has nothing to do with hair. Hair mapping and hair typing is cool, and it helps kind of, break the ice with the conversation. But at some point, you're going to have to get down to individualized hair care using something very simple. Like I said, the right products, the right tools, and the right technique. Who cares whose name is on it? As long as it works for your fabric, you know what? Use it. And when it doesn't, discontinue. If you have the wrong technique, forget about it. If you're washing your hair wrong, if you're combing your hair wrong, then your $85 haircut, your $200 hair color, it's gone down the tube because you're using the wrong technique, the wrong tools. It's not about how expensive they are. Did you get it on Amazon? Did you get it? Is it from Black owned? It's not that important, not right now. If it works, use it. If you have the wrong comb, the wrong flat iron, the wrong shower head to rinse your hair out, you know what? Then your hairstyle, your hair color, your haircut is all going down the tube, including your hair weave.
Ladosha, there are several 100,000 youth in a foster care system today, and one of the biggest issues is that their hair needs to be taken care of a little bit better. Do you have any advice for parents out there who have children in their home and they don't know how to take care of their hair? I mean, what do we do with little girls in foster care who need their hair done properly? What can we do?
Yeah, that's a good question. One of the things that I do is that I volunteer my services every year to offer hair care classes as a part of the educational requirements to keep your foster parent certificate. So I do that every year via Ohio Guidestone. So there are other hairstylists who offer workshops. So I would tell all parents to definitely participate in workshops. You also have Safi of America. They offer workshops for parents. Definitely reach out to the organizers of the adoption agencies and foster care agencies to request classes. My YouTube channel, there are a lot of hairstylists who offer lessons to parents. So as a foster parent, I would say call a salon and ask, can they give you a one-on-one? Of course, now we have virtual appointments. So now you can do this stuff over the phone. And I'm up to a virtual appointment. I do at least one a day. So virtual appointments are definitely a way to get personal, to help you walk through. So social media, virtual appointments, and then of course, reaching out to the hairstylist and contacting the powers that be at those agencies to request some type of an online class or in person once the pandemic is over to help out. And I've been doing that for 20 years.
Hair is a big, big, big deal. And you are holding the vanguard of doing it properly. And I see you along the lines of Madam C.J. Walker. And, we could take it back further than that, of so many examples of women who were just phenomenal in the hair care industry and the impact that they had on culture. People need to know about you. And I just want to ask you, what's next for you?
So what's next for me is that now today I believe is going to launch my Amazon page. I'm also going to be launching my own nail polish line. It's called Legacy Cosmetics. So that's what's coming up in the immediate future. I will continue my work in West Africa and the Gambia. I do have a library called the Wright Library of the Gay and Joe Skills Academy that's located in West Africa, and that's done in partnership or because of the Cleveland Public Library and the Black Dot Cultural Center located in Lithonia, Georgia. So the library is something that I'm always committed to. Literacy remains my number one love. So I'm definitely going to always be doing that. And upon when they let us out, the first place I'm heading, I'm coming home to West Africa.
And real quick, you said you created a library in Africa, correct?
Oh, yes. Yes,
okay,
yes.
okay. Just one more bombshell that she dropped on us today. Hey, y'all, find this lady in Cleveland, Ohio, book an appointment with her, contact her, reach out, and let's continue this connection. I just want to ask you one question. I need you to answer it in about 10 seconds. What is greatness to you?
Greatness to me is inclusion. So no one is great without the help of other people. So I'm great because you're great and because all these people are taking their time to spend some time with me. So to me, greatness is inclusion.
Phenomenal. I want to let you know that I've listened to your story today. I've been very inspired by your journey. I learned some things today, and I want to reaffirm your crown today while you're still living. It was a pleasure to have you on our episode today. And I want to let the world know that Ladosha Wright, that's you, are America's next motivator.
Booyah! Time to give it to ya.
Absolutely. Thanks for stopping by, all right?
Bye.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. Each and every episode of America's Next Motivator is going to have something here for you. All you've got to do is stop by and pick it up.